Here's one big step to preserve free speech. Get rid of the FCC. Hello, I'm Steve Forbes, and this is What's Ahead, where you get the insights you need to better navigate these turbulent times. The controversy over Jimmy Kimmel's ugly response to the Charlie Kirk assassination this September, where ABC faced possible retribution from the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, highlighted the enormous power this agency still wields over broadcasting. It also highlighted why we need to send the FCC into the dumpster of history. Back in the 1930s, the FCC got power to license broadcasters. No license, no can broadcast. The purpose was to regulate what was believed to be scarce frequencies. Awarding of frequencies became a political football, however. To set up or buy a radio station and then a television station, a would-be purchaser had to demonstrate that it would operate in the public interest, however defined. Of course, this attracted parties who would object unless they were somehow paid off. There are strictures. We got the Fairness Doctrine, which effectively throttled real political debate. Only with the defanging of the Fairness Doctrine in the 1980s did we get the talk radio phenomenon, which allowed conservative voices to break through what had been a liberal stranglehold in much of the media. Rules restricted how many radio TV stations an entity could have and where. Today, the whole idea of scarce frequency is technologically preposterous. So is the notion of a monopoly of information. We have an unfathomable multiplicity of outlets, as everyone and any entity can be a publisher or broadcaster. Yet, the FCC still has that life and death licensing power, which is why broadcasters quake when the Commission frowns. Fines and potential loss of a license are a real worry. Want a merger? Better not do anything to rile the current FCC power holders. The Trump administration has been accused of using the FCC to try to stifle free speech. Newsflash, the Biden crowd wanted to control speech. Democrats, in fact, wanted to bestow additional power on the FCC to regulate speech by formally giving it power over cable networks and broadcast providers. Make no mistake, if Democrats get control again in Washington, they will ruthlessly work to silence opponents. Their far left guarantees that. By the way, when the FCC was created, then President Franklin Roosevelt used it to target broadcasters opposed to the New Deal. Presidents Kennedy and Johnson used the Fairness Doctrine to curb on-air opposition. The answer to all this is simple. Junk the FCC and let free markets reign. Grandfather existing holders. You have the license, you're in luck, you get to keep it. You want to merge, expand, or contract, you're free to do it. The remaining role of the FCC should be to auction off frequencies as soon as possible. No more hoarding by the War Department of unused frequencies. Local fire, police, and health entities should have what's actually needed and no more. In an emergency, the War Department could, if necessary, temporarily seize what is actually needed. Otherwise, spectrum should be treated like real estate, bought, sold, diced and sliced, or combined in the free market. The very existence of the FCC is a violation of the First Amendment. The government doesn't license books, newspapers, magazines. It shouldn't be regulating other forms of communication either. I'm Steve Forbes. Thanks for listening. Do send in your comments and suggestions. I look forward to being with you soon again.